Okay, so here we are in Long Beach, Washington, and this is Ken. And Ken, why did you choose this particular spot for clam digging today?
Just, it's a lucky spot, so what I do is I go down the main Long Beach approach and set the odometer for 2 miles, and usually at this spot there might be a good sandbar that pulls out farther than other areas. You can see out there through the mist.
Yeah, okay. So what are the requirements for coming clam digging here in the state of Washington?
If you are a Washington resident, you can buy a year-round combination fishing license, which includes your shellfish, and that allows you to gather seaweed and a whole bunch of other stuff. And my fee was $35 for the whole year. And I would say that you could recover that in probably 1 or 2 digs of 15 clams each, because that makes a lot of meals.
Cool. All right, So one of the requirements for coming to dig clams is you're looking for a very low tide, and minus tides are the ideal, and I'm not sure if the detail will come out in this.
Minus 1.3.
And that's awesome.
And the book time is 6:38, and the general rule is that you can dig 2 hours or 2.5 hours earlier than that. So here we are at almost 3:30. So we're almost 3 hours early. A little bit early. The tide's still going out.
So Ken is now preparing for the dig. Obviously, a person would like to wear at least knee-high boots. Ken has chosen a clam gun instead. His wife's pink clam gun instead of a clam shovel. Some people like to use a shovel, some people like to use a gun. And no, you do not shoot the clams with the gun. What you do is you take the gun, it's a cylinder and there's an air hole at the top. So what you do is you slide this down over where the clam is showing in the sand, and you do that, you pull up, you empty the sand out, and there will be a clam, although we are not on the clam bed yet. And also you need a bucket of some sort. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. This is a cut up Clorox bottle, and that's what Ken will be using to put his clams in. And if you have a rope on it, you can tie it to your belt.
With a snap lid, so you can press it shut, and if it gets rolled in the surf, your clams won't get out.
You won't lose your clams.
You got a string you can hold on.
Very cool.
And you can hold on to your handle too.
Yes.
And not lose it.
Awesome. So again, here we are in Long Beach, Washington. After the Elusive bivalve, known as the razor clam. Here in the state of Washington, the current limit for a digger for a day is 15 clams, and you need to keep the first 15 that you get. So even if you get a little bitty one, you're supposed to keep it. That's part of your catch. So as the tide sucks back out now, we're going to watch again for holes. We're a little early on this, so the tide is still ebbing and flowing a bit. So we'll continue our little walk out to see if we can find more clams. So as you can see, this takes a considerable amount of patience sometimes. Sometimes you come down here and they will be showing all over the place. And by showing, what happens is there's like a little ring on the sand. Sometimes it's fondly referred to as a donut. There'll be a raised part of the sand with a little hole in the middle. About as big around as your thumbnail, maybe smaller. So that's what we're looking for. And if they're not showing, shit, then you run. Again.
You can edit, right?
Yeah. Whoa. Okay. So Kenny's going to demonstrate his stomping technique.
No clam.
No clams responding to the
Not always easy.
dump.
And the sand isn't always wet like this. Sometimes there's nice dry humps of sand you can dig with your tennis shoes.
So winter digging tides are usually in the evening. Sometimes people will even come out and dig in the dark and they have to bring a lantern. So that adds another layer to the search for the bivalves. But the veteran clam diggers will do that. They'll come out with a lantern. Spring digging is much nicer. It's done in the mornings generally and it's a lot warmer. Still have to hunt for those clams though. It's not always easy.
Go by the tide.
More stomping. Yep, we go by the tides.
Ready?
So here we go. We're going to dig our first clam. Let's take a look at the, I don't know if you can really see that, but there's a little kind of a divot donut hole. And I thought I saw, and there's our clam. Awesome, that's a nice one.
Nice
Very
fat
cool.
Clam. Number 1 of 15.
Yep.
Fine.
And as you can see, there's a few people out here digging. It's a little rainy, so only the brave and those willing to get wet are going to dig. There we go for another one. Sometimes we're fooled by worms and shrimp. Oh, there's another clam. Very cool.
Number 2.
Number 2. This might be a quick day.
Oh, there's a donut. You'll be able to get that on the camera.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a perfect clam
Donut.
hole. Donut.
There's another one
There's
over
more.
there.
This is going to be a quick day.
So this is advanced clam digging here.
Yes.
So as I dig this one, I'm scoping out the next one.
Yep.
Deep.
I should probably get a clam gun. I usually mangle them with a shovel. All right, there we go. 4 clams. Awesome.
Nice.
Oh, and here comes the tide. One of the things a person needs to really be careful of is watching for the tide coming in because you will get wet. It will go over your boots. As you can see, people are moving. There's water. Look at these guys. They're out there in the surf and their boots are full of water and they're going to be a cold, cold, cold.
We're going to get wet.
So we're running because the surf is trying to get us.
That guy fell down.
Uh-oh. Shit. And that's part of the fun of clam digging. Watching the water, because you will get wet if you don't pay attention to Mother Nature. So at this point we're up to 10 clams. I think we've probably been out here, about 45 minutes. Ken says that he probably should have brought a bigger bucket because the clams are very big and fat today, so he may exceed the size of his bucket. So that'll be okay though. Nice clams, good meal. So one of the tricks that people do after they've dug their clams is they fill their bucket with water. This will allow the sand to This will allow the clam to purge out the sand that it has in its system. So by letting them do that, when you go to clean them, it's a whole lot less gritty.